talking to you about Newton's second law of motion. Now, this motion states that when a net force is applied to an object, it causes the object to accelerate. But how much it accelerates depends on the mass of the object. So, for our first example, I'm going to hit two different balls with different masses using the same force. So first I'm going to hit a basketball. Okay, so that didn't go very far. Now I'm going to hit a tennis ball. And that one obviously went farther. The reason for this is because the smaller the mass an object has, the faster and farther it'll go. So that's my first example. Alright, now for my second example, I'm going to push against the wall and a chair using the same amount of force. Okay. Okay. As you can see, the chair moved and the wall didn't. This is because the wall has way more mass than the chair does. Therefore, when I push against the wall, it doesn't move. And since the wall also has more mass than me, it pushes against me using the same amount of force. Therefore, neither one of us move. But the chair has way less amount of mass. Therefore, when I push against it, it moves. Alright, so for my final example, I'm going to throw two different objects that have two different masses, but using the same amount of force. So in this hand I have a small tissue packet, and in this hand I have a big pillow. Okay, so first I'm going to throw the tissue packet. Okay, so that went pretty far. Now I'm going to throw the big pillow. Okay. So as you can see, the tissue packet went way farther than the pillow. And that's because when using the same amount of force, the object that has a smaller amount of mass will always go farther. And since the tissue packet had a smaller amount of mass, it went farther. So, therefore, the more mass an object has, the more force is needed in order to make it accelerate more. Yeah. So with these three examples, I've been able to prove to you Newton's second law of motion, which states that when a force is applied on an object, depending the amount of force that's being applied and the mass of the object, is how far and how much the object will accelerate. So the basketball had more amount of mass than the tennis ball. Therefore, the tennis ball went farther, even though I was using the same amount of force. The wall and the chair had different amount of masses. The wall had more and the chair had less. Therefore, the chair moved and the wall didn't. The tissue packet and the pillow had different amount of masses. Even though I was using the same amount of force, the tissue packet, since it had less mass, went farther than the big pillow did because it had more mass. So therefore, Newton's second law of motion is indeed true.